Hello, this is Mike Reed coming to you with a video made Sunday, August 13th, 2023. And this is another video in a short series in regards to small grocery stores, small specialty stores, deli, butcher shops, specialty meat stores, your hunting stores, things like that. Places that are going to have display cases, refrigerated, heated, pastry cases, and the like. So, once again, my name is Mike Reed. What I do is I have a channel that explains commercial refrigeration and just commercial appliances in general to those that have some knowledge on appliances. Maybe you're in residential, maybe you're already in commercial. I'm showing you classes, products, and different markets in regards to commercial appliances. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into this one. I want to start off by saying thank you to Melisande Manning for your most generous donation. I really do appreciate that. That is making these videos possible. This video is on Marc Refrigeration based out of Florida, Miami, Florida. And I'm going to show you a little bit about Marc Refrigeration. I'm going to cycle through here. This is an open air merchandiser. So I'm just going to go through. This is pastry. So in another video, I did go over Procold and Torre. That brand did not offer pastry cases. This one does. This one has pastry cases, fish cases. Here, once again, we have open air refrigerated merchandisers. Now, these are going to be tied up with a condenser unit. Do not be alarmed. This is a whole nother situation. I will cover this in other videos. This video today is just going to be on the cases, such as this one. So mainly you can, if you're starting out, if you're new to this, you can start out with these cases that are going to be self-contained. So this is essentially just like a regular refrigeration, not this one or this one, but these are this one. These are going to be like regular refrigerators. And the best thing is they don't have fans, right? So it is the gravity. So right here's the evaporator coil. It freezes and the cold air drifts down. They do not want to dry the meat. Introducing circulating air will cause that meat to turn gray. So they don't want to do that. So this is a gentler way of covering the meat with a constant curtain of cold air. And this brand is Marc Refrigeration. All I'm showing you is Marc Refrigeration. This is from their display, their gallery on their products, so you can get a good idea. So this is a merchandise. That's going to be a rack, more than likely. And when I say rack, this means well, okay. So this one has the condenser down here. There's the condenser down there. Normally here's the condenser down here and there. So normally when I work on some of these systems, you normally have a condenser remotely installed. All right, and that is the end of their gallery. Now let me get into it for you. Let me show you what they got. So, like I said before, they have bakery cases, deli cases, hot cases, and they have the meat and deli cases. All right, so this is the meat and deli. Let me show you a little bit on how the hell we'll go with the deli. Some of these are 220 volt, especially like this is a heated case, so they're going to be 220 volt. So no refrigeration at all. No refrigeration at all. Wet heat or dry heat capable. So if it's wet heat, that means you're more than likely that they're probably going to have to manually fill a pan, and there's going to be a heating element in that pan, and that is going to cause uh, moisture in the air with that. Let me go back to more pastry cases. So they have all of these are they're gonna have a lot of custom. You know what? Let me get into this. Let me show you this. Let me show you before I get into that. Let me show you the warranty. Let's go into warranty. Now, warranty is just on these self-contained units 180 days. 180 days is what they're covering. Now you have 5-year compressor warranty, but there's no labor on that. They're not covering the gas. They're not covering any of that. They're not covering any of that. So here we go. All service contact needs to be handled through a quick guard. So here's a quick guard. Let me copy this for you guys. And let's put that. I normally just call, you're going to call Marc directly. But here is that information at the bottom. And now we're going to continue on. 6-month labor on other units. So as you see, the labor, these things are not heavy on warranty. This is nothing like the residential side. Most of the calls, like they're not covering mileage to and from the service call. The customer has to pay for that. They're not covering nuisance calls. Customer has to pay for that. Improper installation, negligence. The customer has to pay for that. Right? Corrosion of the evaporator. They're not covering that. Water freezing, rust. They're not covering any of that. The customer has to pay. I mean, and the list just goes on and on and on. They are not paying for any of this. Equip Guard is handling the warranty call. So what you do is you do call Marc Refrigeration first, talk with them. They have tech support. And then if they say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and cover this, blah, 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 you go ahead and you go through Equip Guard, Chicago, Illinois, which is Burr Ridge, is a southwest suburb, well, like a west south suburb of Chicago. You can call them, and then they will go ahead and get that squared away from you. But 90% of the time, it's not warranty. Now, when you do have to deal with a warranty on the compressor, you're going to have to deal with Copeland or Tecumseh or whoever compressor is in that system. And this is a whole nother thing. We're going to dive into that a little later on, but this is an introduction. This is an introduction to these units that are underserved. These units are underserved. These units are not typically not found in your Target. These units are not found in your Walmart. These units are not found in your Kroger, HEB, Publix, Winn-Dixie's, Giant, or any of those other type of stores. These you're gonna find these in smaller niche food establishments. And you will find these in some restaurants, You will find these in other such places, right? You're going to have your fishmongers and things like that. They will have this. Now, another thing I wanted to bring up to you all is that most of these will have outlets. And I'm going to go and start to show you some pictures in just a second of me out in the field with some of these. I didn't get too many of them, but there's just a few. They have plugs. So not only will you have work on cleaning the condensers, not only will you have work on um, defrosting these units, changing sensors, changing the display controllers, the Corel controllers or Dixel controllers, but you will also have work on the plugs. So as this says, they have a 115-volt outlet for a weight scale because you've all seen them when you go to the store and you go ahead and you buy your items. They have the scale, and I gave a viewing of the scales that Pro Cold and Torre make that sit up here. They're a major player in those scales that sit on top of each and every one of these cases. Let's go on over to a hot case. So they have plugs, once again, 115-volt convenience outlet for the scale. And not all of these are cold. Some of these are heated. And this one says it's a double duty. So very low warranty coverage, all cash, heavy on maintenance, heavy, heavy on maintenance. And with that, I should start to show you some pictures. I want to show you another deli case. So they're extremely heavy. You have to heavy on maintenance. You need to set up service contracts with these locations to clean the condensers. Service contracts on these places to check the units out. Some of these actually still have timers, just like on the residential side, how they have the plastic GE defrost timer. Some of these actually have those timers on here. You're going to run into a bunch of them out there that are years old that still have timers. Some of these are 134A, 404, and then the newer ones are 290. So it's a number of different units that's out there with refrigeration, but refrigeration is your least common service. Refrigeration is the least common service on these cases. These are not designed to fail, as you can tell by the low warranty. These are not designed to fail. So once again, self-contained unit. So even if you are doing, say, refrigeration work, you just replace the whole condenser. Forget about just changing the compressor. Just change the condenser. Condenser is going to come with a compressor. It's going to come with all the electrical components, the capacitor, and restart relays and all that. It's going to come with the new fan motor. It's going to come with the condenser coil, the drain, the whole nine. That I showed you guys. It's just two simple connections. You don't have the capillary tube to deal with. You're going to cut the two lines, change them any way you see fit. If you're going to use Pro Press, if you're going to use push to fit connections, if you're going to use lock ring, if you're going to use a torch, any one of those things. And it's relatively easier to do. And then not only that, but you don't even have to do a lot of that. Now, I'll show you something. They use king valve fittings. So some of these compressors, you actually have roto locks, and I can get into that later, where you just use a wrench and you're gonna um, tighten up a locking nut with it has a rubber, not a rubber, it has a plastic bushing in there, a gasket, and then that's going to smash in there and create the seal. So it's very very little torch work, very little seal system work as far as that. Now, as far as units with leaks and things like that, yeah, now you're getting into using torches and things like that. But I'm going to bring it back. That is very low on your experience that you're going to have with these. Very low. These are designed to be a one-time purchase for these stores. When they do get rid of them is when they redo the whole store. So now I'm going to switch over. I'm going to show you some pictures because we're already at the 15-minute mark. So I'm going to show you some pictures here. And please feel free to leave any comments. Put your questions in the comments below. What you have here, this is not a Marc, this is a Howard McRae, and we're going to touch on that later. Howard McRae is a bigger player in the market. They're one of the top players in the market. But what I did want to show you is that these use Dixel controllers. These use Dixel controllers. Very simple. Dirty condenser. Please excuse my crude way of showing these pictures. I'm trying something out here. Dirty condenser caused all of this customers' problems. They don't really have many mats in these sections. See, there's no floor mat. And so these things are just huge HEPA filters and they just suck up all the trash and the lint that's on the floor and it ends up here. Then they'll hose the floor down. And guess what? That moisture is going right here and it helps to cake this stuff on. So you're going to have to clean these. If they don't clean these on a regular basis, the pressure builds up and bad things happen. Then there's also drain pans. So this customer, now this is on a freezer case. This customer purchased this unit and they didn't realize that they needed a drain pan. Does not come with one. Does not come with a heated drain pan. So here the water was just dripping onto the floor. And they kept wondering and complaining, like, oh, the water's on the floor. We have water on the floor every day. And I had to go over there and show them that they needed a drain pan and it had to be installed. So they had to pay me to install the heated drain pan and then it had to be plugged in. So I did one or two cases for them and then they had their own people put in the rest. Now back to that was I think that was Howard McRae too. This is Howard McRae as well. And these are just examples. Now, you don't have to be afraid of working on these units. Yes, it's a large produce unit. It's huge. It's half the size of the building. The reason why I was called out was for the lights. You have lights on this shelf, lights on that shelf, but no lights on the bottom two. This is LED lighting, LED drivers, and they had a problem with the LED driver. So I had to rewire the whole unit. It was done incorrectly from the beginning. And there I am after I got all the lights together, right? So and it's customers I can take care of their drain issue too. Customers will not buy if there is no light. The light is everything. The light is everything. Let's see what else we got here. Ah, yes, 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 yes. There we go. Here we go. So let's go and show you some more. Here's excess condensation on another one of these units in these grocery stores. Sometimes they try to rely on their own people, but their own people don't know much, right? They might be good at changing the ballast and LED drivers and the ceiling lights. They might be good with the electrical in the wall, but they're not good when it comes to these actual units. So here's another one. And as you can see, you have water that dripped down from the case above onto the power switch. Now, if you can imagine, this is the power switch. That is a huge gap, and that's the power switch. So you can take a guess as to what happened as that water was dripping on there. So it shorted out. It shorted out. The case was down, and of course they went screaming because they called me to come out. Here's another case. Electrical short. blew out that section of metal right there. All that corrosion. The water filled this box and caused a short. So now here's the whole case that's empty. All that product is empty. And once again, here's another one. I mean, I like to take off all the lint and I put it into a huge ball and I tell somebody, give me a leash and let's call this one Fluffy. So this is now the grocery store's mascot, Fluffy, because they have enough lint in there to form a fully shaped animal. So they don't clean. So you have to come out and you have to clean every single unit that they have in the grocery store on a quarterly basis. Otherwise, their cases are going to fail because these are all self-contained. Their cases are going to fail, and then they want to blame the equipment. Let me go back. This is actually that same or next to it, same unit, and this is in a Hispanic grocery store. Hispanic grocery store. This is where they kept the frozen fruit and vegetables, yuca. So, as you see here, I have the cages off of the fan. That protects people from sticking their fingers up there and losing their fingertips. So I had to go in here to replace that fan motor. And what took out the fan motor is all this ice down here. So the drain pan overflowed, the water would come down, and you have all these things encased in ice. So you can see over here, no ice. Over there, so much ice, it's just filling up everything. So just simple refrigeration work, not even refrigeration, just simple, basic appliance work. Nothing special. Fixing wires. And the reason why you had that water overflowing and dripping onto that switch, and you say, why would they do that? Is because they would hose out the case and they would leave everything on, and then that water would connect the circuit and pop. They would not clean the cases, right? And the drain would overflow. And then that drain, with that drain dripping, the water would collect in the bottom of that display case. Then it would overflow. And when you know it, it would just drip constantly over the switch that controlled the power and cause that sucker to have problems, right? Lack of a better term, have problems. So we're at the 22-minute mark, 23 now. And I'm gonna cut this short. So this was just a quick one on another brand of display cases. As I find more Marc pictures, I'll add those with some of the other ones. But it's just that Howard McRae was a little more popular. I have Pro Cold pictures. As I find them, I'll try to incorporate them into future videos. But Pro Cold is very common. Pro Cold and Torre. Then you have Marc out of Miami, Florida. And don't be afraid just to go ahead and contact these people. Let them know that you exist. Give them your information. A lot of these calls are going to be non-sealed system related. They're going to be dirty condensers. They're going to be bad lights. They're going to be fan motors. They're going to be controllers, drain pan issues, even changing the the defrost setting, right? You're going to have things where you're going to need to change the how often the unit defrosts, and that's going to be all done through the controller. You're going to have to change when the fan comes on, the drip time. You're going to have to offset that. You might have to increase that up to 2 minutes once the unit comes on before the condenser, I mean, before the evaporator fans come on, due to the fact that if the fans come on too early, the water that's still trying to drain will then freeze. It will freeze, it will block up the drain, and then the water will end up in the case. The water will stack up in the case and then end up spilling out onto the floor and onto the electronics, causing problems. And then also, you have issues where you're going to have to fix the outlets or replace the outlets, right? This is not an electrician. This is actually within the actual case. This is not in the wall. This is not outlets that are on the floor. These are outlets that are part of the unit, and you can then change those. You can go down to Home Depot, you can go to Lowe's, you can go to Ace Hardware, and you can buy these GFCI outlets, and you can replace them, turn the breaker off, do a lockout, tag out, and then you can go ahead and unscrew these and then replace them because they're going to get liquids. They're going to get liquids in them, and they're going to short out and things of that nature. Um, and then that's all good money to make. So this is Mark Refrigeration down there in Miami, Florida. Here's their phone number. That's the email address, info at Mark Refrigeration. Shoot them over your information. Let them know who you are, where you are, what you're interested in doing for them, contact information, and let that be that. Get your information out there, get working, make some money, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for donating. And thank you for subscribing. I really do appreciate it.